So I have to take a little bit.
Is Pokey Doll. 1967 is Jocelyn Hell. Number 207, Slam Chowda. Number 22 is Happy Go Lucky. Number 23, Saucy McBossy. 238 is Radio Smacktive. 24, Shantastic McAwesome. Number 3006, the Captain Bonnie Riot. Number 32 is Dalek Doll. 46, Donna Stunner. Number 666, Evil Elfsies. 672 is LaMarche Madness. Number 713 is Diaphragm. 7184 is Wolframmer. And number 888 is Bubba Luscious. With bench coaches, Tipsy Velvet, Dr. Crusher, Liza Spinelli, and Otter Mayhem. Give it up for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Distinguished guests, the Vaudeville Vixens will be skating against the undefeated for season 15 Unholy Rollers. Number 1231, Rhubarbarian. Number 218, Toast. Number 22, Tango de Muerte. Number 234, The Manipulator. Back on skates after a hiatus, 247, Dive Hard. Number 3, One Hit Wonder. Number 314, Gertrude Awakening. Number 428, Polyamorous. Number 48, Micro Mauler. Number 55, Scarlet Osnaria. Number 617, Ginger Snap. Number 703, Kellfire Warrior. Number 739, Goldman Smacks. Your captain, 7734, Hellwoods. Number 800, Bada Boom Box. Number 847, Hello Sailor. And number 9, Shenanigans. The Unholy Rollers have on their bench Caligari, Just Alice, Skulls Be Crackin', Thrill Show, Ronnie Kickshins, Off Me Rocker, and Pegasus.
The officials for this first game are...
That was Assassinate and Bryant Mumble introducing the teams. Welcome here to the game between the Unholy Rollers and the Vaudeville Vixens. I am Rich Mahogany.
And I am the Goriam Reaver.
We are here with season 15 for the Madison Roller Derby. Excuse me. So this is the third bout of the season. This will determine who's going where in the upcoming playoffs, Reaver.
That's right. Our fourth bout of the season is going to be our semifinal game, and the first place finisher in the overall league standings will play the fourth place finisher. And the winner of that game will play the winner of the game held between the second and third place finishers. So all kinds of great derby action coming up. We're not done with the season yet by any stretch of the imagination.
All for the glory of taking home Leggy, the leg of champions.
And what a leg it is.
A Madison Roller Derby mainstay. But we are ready to get into the action here as we line up for the first jam.
Happy birthday, Otis, from Professor Poopy Pants. That was $1.
And I do just want to say a big shout out to our officials, United Derby officials 608. They are a highly trained group of officials. They are not the only ones who go to practices all week getting ready for bout day. They have just started the jam, and we are underway for our first game of the night.
So it looks like we've got Shantastic McAwesome jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens. She is out as your lead jammer. jamming against Ginger Snap for the Unholy Rollers in the red. For those of you who are unfamiliar with how the game of roller derby works, you've got two primary kinds of skaters out on the track. You've got your jammers and your blockers. Jammers are the ones with the stars on their helmets. Those are the skaters that are eligible to score points for their team. The idea is the jammers need to fight through the group of blockers. That is called the pack. The first jammer to get through legally and in bounds will become the lead jammer and become eligible to score points. Once the second jammer is through as well, she also becomes eligible to score points. However, the power that the lead jammer gets is the ability to call off the jam, ending the play. So in that last jam, Chanteska McAwesome picks up the 3 points and calls off the jam for the Unholies can get any points.
And now we have Jam 2 just getting started. We have Bubba Luscious jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens in pink. And in the red, jamming for the Unholy Rollers is Tango de Muerte. And she has just earned lead jammer status.
That's right. So Bubba Luscious still working on that initial pass. Fighting up towards the front of the pack. Looks like only 2 to beat. They are going to dig in and hold. That is Toast and Micro Mauler, I believe. No, I'm sorry, not Micro Mauler. That is Dive Hard. But she will fight through. So Bubba Luscious now able to score points. Tango de Muerte, however, through for 4 points for the Unholy Rollers, putting them up on the board.
Bubba Luscious jukes her way through. Still fighting a wall.
Bub now at the front of the pack has a 3-wall for the Unholy Rollers to contend with, but Bonnie Riot, blocker for the Vaudeville Vixens, getting in there helping breaking up the wall. Bub now at the front of the pack, pushing away with only 1 to beat. That is Toast. Oh, bit of a pileup on the front of the track, just to the right-hand side of your screen. There they are. So Bub taken to the outside. She's going to have to cycle in and come back behind the skater that knocked her out, and any skaters that were parallel or in front.
Tango de Muerte, meantime, has been hung up in the back of the pack by a power wall of 3 Vixens. Looks like we've got Diaphragm back there, as well as a few others along with her, and that comes to the end of the jam. 4 points for the Vixens on that scoring pass, and also the 4 points that Tango de Muerte scored on her initial on her first scoring pass through the pack, as well as 3 more on this scoring pass, gives us total 7-7. That is a tie score.
Right, you are, Reaver, and as we line up for jam number 3, looks like we've got Shenanigans jamming for the Unholy Rollers in the red and gold, up against Cat Scratch Fever for the Vaudeville Vixens in the pink. Cat Scratch Fever, one of the rookies for the Vaudeville Vixens this season. So Cat Scratch Fever up at the front of the pack, trying to break through the Unholies, getting some offensive help from Wolframmer. However, Shenanigans breaks through, going to take a quick lead jam for the Unholy Rollers. Cat Scratch Fever does end up breaking out, so both jammers now through and eligible to score points. Shenanigans passes through the pack, picks up 4 points. Looks like she is not going to call that off.
Meanwhile, Cat Scratch Fever makes her way a little slower, but makes her way through the pack, also picking up 4 points for the Vaudeville Vixens in pink.
Keeping the score even here are these 2 teams. We'll see what Shenanigans is going to do here. She crashes into the pack.
She's actually on her 3rd scoring pass now, I believe, and so 4 more points brings her to 12 points for this jam so far. And Cat Scratch Fever is still working on her 2nd scoring pass.
Wise decision here for Shenanigans to trust in her blocking team to be able to hold back Cat Scratch Fever, as she's through now for another 4 points, extending that unholy lead. So far, 16 points to the Vixens' 4 in this jam. And there she goes again, sneaking through on the inside. Will pick up another quick 4 points.
Nice, delicate footwork right at the line there. And this time she takes the outside and squeaks right through the pack. Slicker than assorted Southern metaphors.
Cat Scratch Fever is now at the front of the pack, but this unholy defense is doing such a good job of recycling back up. You'll get down to just 1 or 2 blockers holding back Cat Scratch Fever, and then all of a sudden there come the rest of them holding it down. With that, the jam will be called. 2 more points on that pass for the Unholy Rollers, bringing the total up to 26 points, that jam for the Unholies, holding the Vixens down to 8. Score now stands at Vixens 15, Unholies in the lead with 33 points.
And I'm going to say 26 points in a single jam is our lead, our scoring lead for the game so far.
Oh, absolutely. That is a very strong showing for only jam 3 here for this game. As we get back into the action on the track, Gertrude Awakening wears the star for the Unholy Rollers. Radio Smacktive jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens. Dio up to the front. Oh, so that's not Radio Smacktive. I'm sorry. That is Shantastic McAwesome with some fancy footwork on turn 1. Does get through to take lead jam for the Vaudeville Vixens. So far, we've got some back and forth with the lead jamming. Gertrude Awakening is now through, eligible to score points.
That's kind of the Red Rover.
Like Shan was forced to the outside, did pick up 2 points on that pass, but was forced to recycle back. It does call off the jam, holding the Unholies scoreless, that jam. I'd like to have a quick shout out to one of the sponsors of Madison Roller Derby, Pabst Blue Ribbon, who proudly sponsors Madison Roller Derby, so PDR yourself ASAP at a nearby concession. What'll you have? Pabst Blue Ribbon. And you know, if you have a concession at home, I always call any place that I get beer at home my concession stand, personally.
I always just, you know, the Walgreens down the street. That's my concession.
Getting back down to the action on the track. Bubba Luscious back on the jammer line for the Vaudeville Vixens up against Ginger Snap for the Unholy Rollers. So these two teams sticking to a common 4 jammer rotation right now. Ginger Snap is going to be out first to take lead jam for the Unholies.
Is now your lead jammer. You see the figure of power being pointed towards her.
And Ginger Snap back through the pack for a scoring pass.
So I kind of lost Bubba Luscious for a moment there because there was no star on her helmet, Reaver. Why would that happen?
Well, there is this magical thing called a star pass. The skaters who have a stripe on their helmet are the pivots. They are the one player who can take up the position of jammer for their team. If a jammer decides that it is to her benefit to no longer be the jammer in a particular jam, she can pass the star to her pivot. The pivot becomes the point scorer and is the jammer for the rest of the jam, and that is exactly what we just saw the Vaudeville Vixens do.
That's right, and there's a clever way to get their that star out of the pack to start threatening to score points, forcing the call off there. 8 points up for the Unholy Rollers, 0 for the Vaudeville Vixens as we line up for jam number 6. Cat Scratch Fever wears the star for the Vixens in the pink up against Tango de Muerte for the Unholies in the red. Tango stuck at the back of the pack, but making her way up to the front on the inside. Lead jam goes to Tango de Muerte.
The pack is defined as the majority of the skaters with at least one skater from each team.
It'll be Tango's second time out jamming, has taken lead both times so far.
And the last time she was out, she racked up 26 points for the Unholy Rollers, skating in red. Let's see what she will do for them on this jam.
She's forced to the inside by Bonnie Riot, but Bonnie went out herself. So by the rules of roller derby, she is not required to come back in behind that skater since she also went out of bounds. So she is through, picks up 4 points for the Unholy Rollers.
All right, Cat Scratch Fever getting held up in the front of the pack as Tango de Muerte comes in for her next scoring pass. And we've got a bit of a mix in the pack, no defined, actually it's starting to separate now, and the helmet cover comes off again for the Vaudeville Vixens. Let's see if Cat Scratch Fever is going to pass that off to her pivot, Jocelyn Hill. Looks like she will not, but used that as an opportunity to try to make her way a little farther through the pack.
That's right. You can remove your star at any point. It does not mean you have to pass it. You can put it right back on. However, once it has been successfully passed over to that pivot, you can't pass it back. No take backs.
And the only thing not having the star on your helmet means is you aren't earning points for your team, and you aren't earning passes towards eligibility for lead jammer.
Right, you are, Reaver. So even if you are the lead jammer and then remove that helmet cover, that will forfeit your lead jammer designation. Our lead jammer for this jam, Tango de Muerte, through, picks up 4 more points. They're going to call off the jam. And we're going to take a quick break here. Thank you for watching Madison Roller Derby. We'll be back in just a moment.
Happy birthday, Beverly.
Welcome back, folks. We are here between the contest of the Unholy Rollers and the Vaudeville Vixens here at the Alliant Energy Center Coliseum. Unholy Rollers in the lead with 53, Vaudeville Vixens at 17 as we roll into jam number 7.
And the whistle blows and the gameplay starts. We have Shenanigans in red for the Unholy Rollers, and Chantastic McAwesome is jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens in the pink. Both skaters are working on getting their way through the pack, meeting some fierce opposition from the opposing blockers, but Shenanigans does get through and earns lead jammer status.
Chantastic McAwesome still working her way on that first straightaway. Takes off the star, working her way through the pack. She does stay inside on the outside with some very fancy footwork. Will don that star, now eligible to score points. However, Shenanigans only going to pick up those 4 points and call off the jam.
Another shout of happy birthday to everyone's favorite.
You know, speaking of beer, Rich, Delta Beer Lab is also one of our very fine sponsors here at Madison Roller Derby. They are just a quick hop, skip, and a jump over the Beltline from us here in the Novation campus near Exact Sciences.
Well, thank you very much, Delta Beer Lab, for sponsoring Madison Roller Derby. I wish they were a little bit closer right now so I could have some of their deliciously refreshing libations now. But we've got this deliciously refreshing roller derby in front of us, Reaver. Who do we have jamming?
So fresh. So fresh. We have Gertrude Awakening for the Unholy Rollers and Bubba Luscious jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens.
So Bubba Luscious working her way towards the front of the pack. However, the Unholy defense holding firm in the middle of the pack. Gonna allow Gertrude Awakening through on the inside to take lead jam.
Fun fact, once upon a time, Gertrude Awakening was a Vaudeville Vixen.
Gasp.
It's true.
Well, Gertrude has been on the Unholies for a while now. I couldn't tell you how many years,
yeah,
but
it's been several years since she transferred to the Unholies.
Been a mainstay as long as I've been
She did do her
involved.
skating, and before she was on the Vaudeville Vixens, she was, of course, one of our very talented members of United Derby Officials 608. Again, highly trained. If you're interested in joining this corps of wonderful volunteers, please do email officials@madisonrollerderby.org. If you are a geek and you love geeking out about rules and sports, UDO 608 just might be for you.
That's right, and you don't need any skating or roller derby experience at all.
not.
They will train you up from the ground up to be a lean, mean roller derby officiating machine.
That is absolutely correct, and you'll see right here in the right corner of your screen, you'll see one of our non-skating officials, Rec Support. He is our jam timer. We have many positions that get filled in every game by people who don't put on skates at all. So if you are interested in helping out, if you enjoy rules, if you enjoy pedantry.
I like spreadsheets.
If you like spreadsheets, if you like nerding out, we've got something for you to do.
So Rec Support was out there indicating that we are in the middle of a team timeout called for by the Vaudeville Vixens, brought to you by the Comeback Inn Bar and Restaurant. So the Vixens using one of their 3 team timeouts allotted to them for the game. That gives them a minute to sit and kind of bring their strategy back together. Unholy's kind of starting to run away with this game. They are certainly not an insurmountable lead for the Vixens, but a good opportunity to kind of come back together and figure out their strategy.
And now we have Jam 9 underway. Shenanigans has earned lead jammer status for the Unholy Rollers. Cat Scratch Fever jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens. Guns on her first scoring pass, takes a hard block from Jocelyn Hell at the front of the pack, but gets right back up, goes on through to score 4 points.
Shenanigans just weaving through that pack, will get through relatively untouched to pick up 4 more points on that scoring pass. Cat Scratch Fever still working on her initial. I'm sorry, Bubba Luscious. Okay. So he's knocked to the outside behind one-hit Wanda. Nice assist there by Pawnee Riot, taking Wanda all the way to the inside, open the outside up for Bub. However, Bub's going to meet up with 2 more of those Unholy blockers.
Meanwhile, Shenanigans squeaks through on the inside line for another completed scoring pass and comes back around for yet another.
Slip on the outside for Shenanigans, putting up big numbers, 20 points so far.
A successful star pass here for the Vaudeville Vixens. Jocelyn Hell dons the star, becoming the active jammer for the Vixens. Now eligible to score points. However, I thought I heard a call-off whistle, but the jam still goes on. A high block penalty called against Shenanigans, jammer for the Unholies. That is going to give us an Ian's Pizza Power Jam for the Vaudeville Vixens. What is a power jam, you might ask?
Ooh, what is a power jam, Rich Mahogany?
Oh, I would love to tell you, Reaver.
Please
a power
tell me.
jam is when your team's jammer is the only jammer on the track eligible to score points. So now your team has nothing to do but make sure that jammer gets through the opposing wall. The trade-off is, of course, that the opposing team now has nothing to do but make sure your jammer does not get through the wall. So a good opportunity to pick up some uncontested points here for the Vaudeville Vixens. They will pick up 8 before the jam is called. 22 points picked up by the Unholies for that last jam. Looks like they did call the jam just in time. Shenanigans has not been released from the Delta Beer Lab change cage penalty box. So this is going to be a power start for the Vaudeville Vixens.
And that means Shenanigans will continue as the jammer in the subsequent jam as soon as her penalty time finishes against, and it looks like they've put Cat Scratch Fever back in for the Vaudeville Vixens.
They have, getting up at the front is Cat Scratch Fever. She's also got her pivot number 238, Radio Smacked in there, helping to open up the wall. However, Shenanigans is going to fight her way through to take lead jam for the Unholies. This is going to be the 6th lead jam in a row for the Unholy Rollers.
And I believe it does keep Shenanigans' percentage at 100% for earning lead jammer status.
It does indeed. Shenanigans so far has picked up 56 of the Unholy's 91 points. Picks up 4 more points on that pass. Cat Scratch Fever still working on her initials. The Unholy's wall holds firm.
For Shenanigans. Penalty will begin once Cat Scratch Fever 6.
So Cat Scratch Fever has picked up a penalty. That's going to be a track cut penalty, sending her to the Delta Beer Lab change cage penalty box.
Does that mean a power jam for the Unholy Rollers?
It doesn't mean it is an Ian's Pizza Power Jam in favor of the Unholy Rollers. And Shenanigans is going to get that, get some points and call off the jam. So Cat Scratch Fever is going to have most of her 30-second penalty to serve in this at the start of this next jam. You can see here our current penalty totals for this game. You can see here that only a single penalty for any given skater here, anyone who does have a penalty. In roller derby, once you reach that 7th penalty, you foul out of the game. So it is important to make sure you don't get more than that 6 penalties.
And we have Ginger Snap jamming for the Unholy Rollers with lead jammer status and making her first scoring pass. Cat Scratch Fever is still in the penalty box for the Vaudeville Vixens. Meanwhile, Ginger Snap is going to call the jam and head to the box, give the Unholy Rollers another power start before Cat Scratch Fever can return to the track.
We are going to take a quick break here. Thank you for watching Madison Roller Derby. We'll be back in a moment. And welcome back to Madison Roller Derby here, seeing the game between the Unholy Rollers and the Vaudeville Vixens. We are just about to into Jam 12. Unholy Rollers with a commanding lead, 77 points separate these teams. 25 points for the Vixens, 102 for the Unholy Rollers. And we've got Tango de Muerte in a power start for the Unholy Rollers in the red. Cat Scratch Fever starting from the box for the Vaudeville Vixens in the pink.
She has just returned to the track and immediately removes the helmet cover. It looks like she might be trying to do a star pass to get that. And she has completed a star pass. Jocelyn Hell is now the jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens, number 1967, leaving the pack and putting the star on her helmet.
Tango de Muerte, lead jammer for the Unholy Rollers, is through, picking up 4 more points for her team. Jocelyn Hell taking a big hit from one-hit Wanda, forcing her to the outside, going to recycle back into turn 2.
Meanwhile, Tango de Muerte back in the pack for more point accumulation. Like that word, lots of syllables.
Jocelyn Hell picks up a penalty that'll send her to the Delta Beer Lab change cage. That is a track cut penalty, giving an Ian's Pizza Power Jam over to the Unholy Rollers.
This is a very high-scoring game.
So Tango breaking through, picks up 4 more points. That'll be a total of 12. That jam calls off the jam, giving the Unholies another power start going into this next jam.
You know, sometimes when I drink a lot of beer, I like to have a little bit of food. Do you know where I like to go for my food, Rich?
Where do you like to go, Reaver?
I like to go to Cooper's Tavern, which is on the square. It's open 7 days a week. It serves elevated pub fare, and it has an extensive selection of craft beers, wines, and whiskey from around the world, because when I eat my food, yeah, I do like to also have a beer.
Who doesn't? We are back into the action here. Got Gertrude Awakening jamming for the Unholies, having lead jam. Jocelyn Hell, your jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens, starting from the penalty box. So she's standing in the penalty box, not quite back in the action. There she goes. Will now have to fight her way through the pack on that initial pass before being eligible to score points. Pack picking up speed as they enter turn 3. Gertrude Awakening fires through the pack, gets 3 points on a no pass, no penalty. Joss hanging back a bit, tries to do a jam reverse jammer hit to the inside. However, Gertrude is going to dodge the hit. Makes her way through the pack. That's 4 more points up for the Unholies.
And Jocelyn has removed her jammer helmet cover. So if you go looking in the pack to see which one has, and she has passed it to her pivot.
That's right. That is Radio Smackdiv, unless my eyes deceive me.
That is, in fact, Radio Smackdiv.
Way to go, eyes. Oh, so Gertrude Awakening off to the box to get confirmation that's going to be a back block penalty. So we've got an Ian's Pizza Power Jam here for the Vixens. It's a good opportunity to start making up some of this score deficit. Unholy Rollers leading by 101 points. Dio forced to recycle on the inside.
I was late on that call. Penalty on me.
Very nice job by the Vixens blockers. They're kind of creating a wedge to get Dio up towards the front of the pack, but then the Unholies, well aware of what's going on, are going to block her out.
And Gertrude Awakening was released from the box just before that jam ended, so the Unholy Rollers will be fielding a jammer at the jammer start line. It will be Shenanigans in this next Jam 14 for the Unholy Rollers, and it looks like for the Vaudeville Vixens, we are going to have a timeout. Excuse me, it's an official's timeout.
That's right. This timeout brought to you, of course, by the Comeback Inn Bar and Restaurant. You know, we can tell you a little bit more about them.
They're at Madison's downtown neighborhood bar. They're located at 508 East Wilson Street. They serve 26 tap beers. They have delicious bar bites. Try their weekend brunch every Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Free live music every Monday through Saturday. And now in Jam 14, as I said earlier, Shenanigans for the Unholy Rollers and the Vaudeville Vixens have just taken lead jammer status from Chantastic Mick Awesome, their jammer.
That breaks up a 9-jam lead streak for the Unholy Rollers. So definitely a good sign here for the Vaudeville Vixens. Wow, big hit there by, I believe that was Hell Woods, taking Shan to the outside. Gonna force her to call off the jam. So she will get 2 points for, waiting for confirmation there. Fingers went up and then down. So waiting for confirmation here. It looks like it was just 2 points up for the Unholies. The Vixens weren't able to pick up any points on that pass.
And we are going to another timeout. This one is a team timeout for the Unholy Rollers.
All right, thank you. We've been watching Madison Roller Derby. We'll be right back with the action after this. Welcome back. We are here in the waning minutes of the first half of this game between the Unholy Rollers and the Vaudeville Vixens. Unholy Rollers with a strong lead here as we go into the last 7 minutes and 12 seconds of the game. And the Unholy Rollers have just called for a team timeout. So as we take a look at some of the statistics we have here.
We've been seeing a lot of lead jammer action by the Unholy Rollers.
That we have.
And fairly even penalty distribution. Each team has earned 7 penalties so far. Most skaters earning just 1 penalty apiece. There's only 1 skater right now who has 2 penalties. That is Bonnie Riot for the Vaudeville Vixens.
So it looks like the score was adjusted from that last jam. The 2 points that had been attributed to the Unholy Rollers have in fact gone over to the Vaudeville Vixens. So Vixens sitting at 30 points to the Unholy's 129, 99 points separating these two teams. Certainly a tough distance to bridge at this point, but not at all insurmountable.
Not insurmountable, no. However, the Unholy Rollers have just taken lead jammer status here in Jam 15. So they are in a position of scoring advantage, especially as Ginger Snap has returned to the pack on her scoring pass and is actively fighting her way past the Vixen blockers. And the Vixens have number 888, Bubba Luscious, jamming for them. Still working on her initial pass, and she has just removed her helmet cover.
Looks like she's taken to the outside once again by One Hit Wanda. She's been putting in a lot of work this game, knocking folks out to the outside. This turn 1-2 seems to be her domain.
Meanwhile, Ginger Snap is just skating around and sliding through that pack, racking up points. She's already got 3 4-point scoring passes under her belt for this jam.
Bubba Luscious taking some hits at the back of the pack there as One Hit Wanda knocks her into the other Unholy blockers, delivering her right into that sad place in the tripod. But the star pass will be completed. Jocelyn Hell through the pack, dons the star, threatens points, forces the call off. Grand total of 16 points up for the Unholy Rollers that jam, bringing the score to Vaudeville Vixens 30, Unholy Rollers 145. We've got just over 5 minutes remaining to play, Reaver.
I'm excited, Rich. Are you?
I am very excited. We will see what these teams bring to the track in this next jam. We've got an empty Delta Beer Lab change cage penalty box. So both teams at full strength as Tango de Muerte wears the star for the Unholies in red up against Cat Scratch Fever for the Vixens in pink.
And Tango de Muerte is through the pack to earn lead jammer status for the Unholy Rollers. Cat Scratch Fever still working her way through on her initial pass as Tango comes back to score points.
Tango de Muerte rolling with a 100% lead jammer differential this game. So far she's gone out to jam 3 times, has picked up lead all 3 times. Thus far has picked up 28 points for the Unholy Rollers. Tango through to pick up 4 more points, will continue the run.
And the Vixens have had a star pass, Radio Smacktive, now the jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens. She began the jam as the pivot as Bada Boombox goes to the penalty box. The Delta Beer Lab change cage with a forearm penalty for the Unholy Rollers.
Dio forced to the outside, but looks like on a no pass, no penalty, she'll be able to come right back in. Hello Sailor may have gone out of bounds a little bit or wasn't quite in the position that we all thought she was. But so 4 points on that pass for both jammers as they come around to the pack. 30 seconds remaining on the jam clock. Dio bowling through the blockers. However, nobody has yet emerged from the pack. And jam will get called. Seeing 20 points for the Unholy Rollers, 11 for the Vaudeville Vixens. Bring our score to Vixens 41, Unholies 165.
And that is going to bring us up to the lineup time for Jam 17. We have Gertrude Awakening jamming for the Unholy Rollers, and for the Vaudeville Vixens, we have Shantastic McAwesome.
Shan trying that outside line, but meeting with fierce resistance. It's Hellfire Warrior guarding the outside line, also getting a bit of a trailer in there as well. I believe that was Hellwoods getting in there for the Unholies as well. And Gertrude Awakening is through to take lead jam for the Unholy Rollers.
And through also for a scoring pass as Shan comes up also to score, but getting held up a little longer than Gertrude did. And Gertrude through on the inside line again for another 4 points for the Unholy Rollers.
Nice little hop over the apex there by Gertrude Awakening, helping her skip some blocker-owned land.
Scoring bonanza out there.
So 4 points for both jammers as they come around. Pack starting to settle in around turns 3 and 4 as Shantastic McAwesome comes barreling into the pack. Will be forced to the outside, leaves the inside wide open as Gertrude Awakening gets through for 4 more points.
And Gertrude is Shantastic McAwesome going to the power box on a penalty, going to the Delta Beer Lab change cage on a track cut penalty. Also in the box is, looks like Bonnie Riot with a direction of gameplay penalty.
I'd like to take a moment to shout out to Ian's Pizza, proud sponsor of Madison Roller Derby. Ian's Pizza has 2 downtown locations, 100 State Street next to the Capitol and 319 North Francis near the Kohl Center. Both locations are open late. Order online at www.ianspizza.com. Downtown delivery is available. And we are back into the action, Reber.
And with Jam 18 underway, Shenanigans has taken lead jammer status for the Unholy Rollers. Shantastic is still in the penalty box for the Vaudeville Vixens and will be filling the position of jammer once her penalty service is completed. However, Shenanigans calls the jam to a close before Shantastic can leave the box. So that will be a power start for the Unholy Rollers as we begin Jam 19. Looks like they've got Ginger Snap lining up to take the jammer position for this jam against Shantastic McAwesome once she is released from the penalty box.
I tell you, Reber, something that the Unholies have been doing a lot well this game so far, but one thing that they are doing to great effect is keeping the Vixens jammers locked down in the penalty box once they go there. They seem to be having a great awareness of when those jammers are there, when to call the jam to give them that advantage going into the next jam like they have here.
And what an exciting jam that was. You saw Ginger Snap was the first jammer to exit the pack, but she did not earn lead jammer status. She had an improper pass. That meant that one of the skaters, she passed only while she was on the ground or out of bounds. And so she did not earn credit for that pass and therefore did not earn lead jam status. Once Shantastic McAwesome exited the box and broke through the pack, she earned that laudable status and immediately called the jam.
Yeah.
That brings us to halftime.
That it does. But we will be back shortly with the second half of the Unholy Rollers taking on the Vaudeville Vixens. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Rich Mahogany.
And I'm the Goram Reaver.
We'll be back soon.
My name is Natalie Hinckley, owner of Hinckley Productions. I've been doing video since I was a kid. Now I've built this video production company, and for the past 10 years, I get to do what I love every single day. We partner with clients to tell their stories, shooting and editing videos for many brand names that you'd recognize and local businesses alike. In short, video spots used online, through social media, and broadcast. The live production division of the business utilizes multi-camera switching, projection, and live streaming. We have 2 studio locations, one in Madison, the other one in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Here we meet with clients, we edit all of our videos, and we also house our production equipment. Now most of our shoots are done on location. We can shoot here or access larger facilities as needed. We have a number of different cameras to work with depending on your job requirements. Everything from a simple GoPro to a high frame rate 4K camera. When you see our van rolling through town, you'll know that we've got all the right tools to get the job done. Hinckley Productions is built upon authenticity, diversity, reliability, and quality. We hope to work with you on your next project.
Madison Roller Derby is a community of strong, independent, amazing people that are not only athletes but also committed volunteers and staff, recreational skaters, competitive interleague skaters, and we have been part of this league and part of this community for now going on 15 years.
It's fun, it's entertaining, it's something that we are really proud to be a part of. I think within that, the love and empowerment that comes from playing this sport is this responsibility to give back to our community and support the growth and success of Madison, which encompasses Madison Roller Derby.
I grew up playing a lot of sports, but never really felt like I entirely belonged or fit in or could be myself, and Derby felt like a place that combined all of the things that I loved socially, being able to be openly queer and kind of punk rock, but also a serious athlete.
There's just an incredible range of personalities, people from different backgrounds, different careers. There's so many connections here with roller derby.
It's just been something where I've been challenged in every single aspect of my life, and it always comes back to Derby teaching me a lesson, teaching me that I can be better.
Every year we get a new crew in, and every year you get to see them experience roller derby, help them learn how to be leaders.
I love that community outreach has always been part of MRD's mission and vision from the beginning, because I think our founders and even now we recognize that we don't exist in a vacuum, and every one of us comes from different parts of the community.
We're a part of Madison and we live here. We are parents, we are neighbors, we're students. It's important that we recognize that and make sure that we are giving back as much as we are getting from the community that surrounds us.
Over the past 15 years, we've donated over $80,000 to nonprofits and have spent thousands of hours working in Madison communities and other Wisconsin nonprofits in the area.
We're building an army of amazing people that want to do more for the community, and every year we grow. We're trying to grow along with Madison in a positive way.
Right now, Madison Roller Derby really needs your help to continue rolling forward. Our mission is very important to us, and we hope to continue that long into the future. But right now, we need a new home for both our growth and our current membership.
Having a building of our own means we can create a much better fan experience, because we hope to not only have our practices there, but hopefully also host games. We can host more games, different kinds of games. We can bring in more community partners. We can even bring in other community organizations that fit our mission and the space that we have and provide that as a community resource.
If we lost roller derby as an organization in the sport and an opportunity for women, that would be a huge detriment.
We need to raise $500,000, and I know that sounds like a lot of money, but with your help and the community's help, I think that we can get it done. You can become a sustaining member, you can share this video, you can make a larger sum donation. We support all of those options.
We want to continue to grow our mission of being this empowering, inclusive space for people of all identities and backgrounds. So we are now turning to the community and asking humbly for your financial support to help make this thing happen.
Welcome back. We are here for the second half of the Unholy Rollers taking on the Vaudeville Vixens here at Bout 3 of Season 15 of Madison Roller Derby. So we've got a bit of a hard game ahead of us for the Vaudeville Vixens. They've got 49 to 187 going into the half. Again, not an insurmountable mountain to climb, but it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for them here, Reaver.
Yes, and the Vixens are missing a few of their players, especially some of the skaters who typically do quite a bit of jamming for them are not playing this evening, and that may be hampering them quite a little bit. And the Unholies certainly do have quite a formidable defense. So being shy on some of your key offensive players, as well as coming up against a real rough defense, kind of throws a wrench into the works.
It's a difficult formula for the Vixens to work out here, but I believe they can work it out. As we line up on the jammer line for this next jam, for the first jam of the second half, looks like we are going to see Tango de Muerte going up against Jocelyn Hell. Joss had, she wore the star a few times in the first half, but always as the recipient of a star pass. This will be the first time we see her lining up as the jammer. So we can taking a look at some of our point scores from the first half. Our lead point scorer for the Unholy Rollers is going to be Shenanigans with 68, followed closely by Tango de Muerte with 51. For the Vaudeville Vixens, we've got Shantastic McAwesome with 13, and Jocelyn Hell and Radio Smackdib each with 11 points. So, Reaver, we are back into the action.
We are indeed. Jam 1 is underway for period 2.
So Tango de Muerte forcing her way up to the front. She will get lead jam. Joss still working on that initial pass as she's forced to the inside.
And Tango comes up for her first scoring pass, takes the outside line, and easily makes it past the Vixens' defense.
So 4 points up on that pass for the Unholy Rollers. Oh, a track cut penalty assessed against Jocelyn Hell as she goes through the pack. That'll send her to the Delta Beer Lab change cage, giving the Unholy Rollers a power jam.
And this Ian's Pizza Power Jam is going to extend through to the next jam, as Tango de Muerte has ended the jam using the power of lead jammer status. And we now have Shenanigans on the line to jam for the Unholy Rollers, while Jocelyn Hell completes her penalty in the Delta Beer Lab change cage.
So this is something that we talked a little about in the first half. The Unholies did this a lot. Once they got that opposing jammer in the box, they'd call off the jam, kind of screw up the rhythm of that jammer rotation of the opposing team. Shenanigans lead jam here for the Unholy Rollers.
Meanwhile, Diaphragm is heading to the penalty box for picking up I believe it was a forearm penalty, as Shenanigans was at the front of the pack. And yes, that is a forearm penalty. That brings the penalty total for the Vaudeville Vixens to 11. Bonnie Riot has 3 of those. Jocelyn Hell has 2. Everyone else is sitting at 1 penalty that has a penalty. And then only 1 penalty apiece for 9 of the Unholy Roller skaters.
Unholy's definitely in a pretty safe spot as far as their penalties are concerned. We're going to see what they can bring to the table here in Jam 3. Gertrude Awakening up against Jocelyn Hell. Joss starting from the Delta Beer Lab change cage. So power start here for the Unholies as it turns into an Ian's Pizza Power Jam. Gertrude Awakening claims lead jam.
But in fact, not power jam. She did not earn that lead jam status until after Jocelyn was out of the box. And Jocelyn is coming to the pack right behind her.
Right.
And it looks like they're going to try and do some points trading.
That's right. Both of these jammers picking up quite a bit of momentum, taking advantage of a bit of a confused state in the pack.
Gertrude Awakening does end the jam after scoring 2 more points for the Unholy Rollers before Jocelyn can pick up any additional points for the Vaudeville Vixens.
So it looks like we are going to have each of these teams. The box is empty. I thought for a moment we had skaters in the box, but no, we've got 5 on 5 on the flat track, Reaver. I see Cat Scratch Fever lining up for the Vixens. She will be jamming against Ginger Snap for the Unholies in red.
And it looks like Ginger Snap picked up a back block right at the beginning of that jam and has gone to the Delta Beer Lab change cage.
We've got a power jam opportunity here for the Vaudeville Vixens. Cat Scratch Fever up at the front of the pack. 3 blockers to beat. Bonnie Riot's trying to get in there to open up the wall a bit, but this Unholy defense has just been so together all game long. You see Cat Scratch Fever recycled back into the pack there, has to get through all over again. Bonnie Riot once again in there trying to open up that tripod for the Unholies. And that is a fantastic penalty kill there by the Unholy Rollers as Ginger Snap returns from the Delta Beer Lab change cage. completes her initial pass and is now eligible to score points. Cat Scratch Fever still eligible to pick up lead jam.
And Ginger Snap has just gotten another back block penalty and is going back to the Delta Beer Lab change cage.
Direction and play penalty called against Bubba Luscious for the Vaudeville Vixens, sending her to the Delta Beer Lab change cage.
And we have a star pass on the Vaudeville Vixens. Cat Scratch Fever has passed the star to her pivot, Bonnie Riot, who now has exited the pack, but is not eligible to earn lead jammer status because she started the jam as a pivot.
Right, you are. Speaking of lead jam eligibility, if you are a jammer who is eligible to get lead jam and you remove your star, you immediately become ineligible to pick up that lead jam. So, as you said, we will have no lead jam this jam, so we'll go for the full 2 minutes, which is going to end just about now. Ginger Snap is back on the track. We'll see. She picks up 7 points total. And it looks like 4 points up for the Vixens. And we're going to take a quick moment here. Thank you for watching Madison Roller Derby. Welcome back here for the game between the Vaudeville Vixens and the Unholy Rollers. We are getting right back into the action here, as looks like we've got a number of skaters off in the penalty box. I believe, oh no, just only one. That's the manipulator for the Unholy Rollers. Tango de Muerte, your jammer for the Unholy Rollers. She will get through and take lead. La March Madness, the jammer for the Vixens. La March Madness with some nice footwork there around the back of the pack, out juking the Unholy blockers. Will get through on the outside, is now eligible to score points. Wow, flying around that track is La March Madness. Only 2 Unholy blockers to get in her way, but she gets through untouched, picks up 4 more points for the Vixens.
Meanwhile, Tango de Muerte through completing her second pass before calling the jam just before La March Madness can pick up any additional points for the Vaudeville Vixens.
I'd like to give a quick shout out to another one of the sponsors of Madison Roller Derby, Laura Realty Group. In the rink, you need helmet and pads. In this real estate market, you need Laura Realty Group.
Really?
Really?
Maybe if I ever want to buy property.
I would strongly recommend you check out Laura Realty Group.
I think I will.
Checking out the action on the track, Shantastic McAwesome runs up the outside line to take lead jam for the Vixens. She is closely followed by Shenanigans as the pack picks up speed.
And the Unholy Rollers lose a few skaters to the outside line. And Shantastic McAwesome calls the jam before anybody starts scoring points.
Well, that was quite a fast and intense jam, Reaver.
It was. I didn't see exactly what happened to those 2 Unholy Rollers blockers over there on the straightaway between 3 and 4, or excuse me, 2 and 3. But it could have been gravity.
Some sort of physics happened. Getting back down to the action on the track, Jocelyn Hell wears the star for the Vaudeville Vixens in the pink. Gertrude Awakening with the star for the Unholies in the red. Joss pushing away, having to deal with all 4 blockers for the Unholy Rollers, but slowly pushing that pack to its outer limits. Oh, but she's knocked to the inside, or outside rather, a forearm penalty assessed against Hellwoods for the Unholy Rollers, as Jocelyn Hell gets through to take lead jam for the Vaudeville Vixens.
And Gertrude Awakening also through for the Unholy Rollers, coming just behind Jocelyn for her scoring pass. And the jam is called. We've got 4 points up for the Unholy Rollers and 0 for the Vaudeville Vixens. And now lining up for Jam 8, we have Cat Scratch Fever and Ginger Snap.
And where's the whistle? There's the whistle. We are into the action. Cat Scratch Fever trying to take the outside line, but getting sandwiched between one of her own blockers and Ginger Snap. But Bonnie Riot with a nice hit on Ginge to take her to the outside. But Ginge rubber bands right to the inside. Lead jam on Unholy Rollers. Cat Scratch Fever now with 2 blockers to beat on just around turn 2. Forced to the inside by one-hit Wanda. Wanda will pick up a penalty for her troubles.
Meanwhile, Ginger Snap gets through the pack with 4 points just before Cat Scratch Fever completes her initial pass. And now both jammers on scoring passes. And Ginge getting another 4 points, and Cat Scratch Fever picking up 4 points for the Vixens.
And Ginger Snap through for another 4 points on that pass as Cat Scratch Fever crashes into the pack. Great defensive maneuver there by we've got Bubba Luscious and Hoppy Go Lucky in there who help protect Cat Scratch Fever from some harrowing hits from the Unholy's defense.
And Ginger Snap has picked up a penalty, is going to the Delta Beer Lab change cage for a back block.
Well, we've got an Ian's Pizza Power Jam on our hands here for Cat Scratch Fever and the Vaudeville Vixens. That once again, though, that Unholy's defense holding so firm, even with the Vixens in there trying to break up the wall. We've got one-hit Wanda, and I can't see quite who that is in the middle of all those numbers. Oh, I believe that's the manipulator. Yes. And that will bring the jam to a conclusion. 4 points for the Vixens, 14 for the, I'm sorry, all the points are changing. 8 points for the Vixens, 15 for the Unholy Rollers. Brings our score to Vaudeville Vixens 69, Unholy Rollers 237, with 18 minutes and 37 seconds remaining to play in the game.
And I would like to talk a little bit about Willie Street Co-op.
Oh, please do.
Everyone is welcome at Willie Street Co-op. Stop by, check out the best selection of organic, natural, and locally made food around. They're proud supporters of Madison Roller Derby. They have 3 locations: Willie West on University Avenue in Middleton, Willie North in the Northtown Center Mall, and the original Willie Street East on Williamson Street in Madison.
Back to the action on the track. La March Madness has taken lead jam for the Vaudeville Vixens. However, creeping up the inside line, she ended up picking up a track cut penalty. That'll send her to the Delta Beer Lab change cage, giving Tango de Muerte and the Unholy Rollers a power jam. Tango up the inside will complete her initial pass, now eligible to score points. La March Madness is now back on the track, picks up 4 points. However, now she has lost that lead jammer designation, so this jam will go the full 2 minutes. There's about a minute more in this jam to play. March Madness again up that inside line, gets 4 more points. It's something that I've seen her use to great effect so far. As she does a great job of pushing those blockers just ever so slightly out of position on those lines, because she doesn't need a whole lot of space to be able to creep through. She's very nimble on those toe stops. There she goes again, that hop on that inside line. 4 more points for the Vaudeville Vixens. Tango de Muerte hot on her heels, as we've got a 12-12 jam on our hands so far here, Reaver.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, this getting nice and scrappy here. Vaudeville Vixens holding on, certainly not going to give this game up without a fight.
Absolutely not.
A March Madness forced to the inside is going to recycle back behind one-hit Wanda. Multiplayer block assessed against Wolframmer for the Vaudeville Vixens will send her to the Delta Beer Lab change cage just as the jam comes to its natural 2-minute conclusion. Waiting for
what
final.
What a jam it was. Do you know what I love almost as much as Derby jams?
What's that, Reaver?
Space jams. And did you know that one of our sponsors, Terciops Truncatus Studios, has a Wreck 'em Up space opera?
Ooh.
So if you, it's called The Day We Fought Space. So I'm going to say, if you like space and shooting things up, You're going to want to check it out. It's coming soon for a mobile platform near you. That's Terciops Truncatus Studios with their new game, The Day We Fought Space.
And we're getting back to the day the Vixens fought the Unholies. Shenanigans out as your lead jammer up against Shantastic McAwesome. Going to get a quick call off there. 4 points for the Unholy Rollers. And we're going to take a quick break here. Thank you for watching Madison Roller Derby. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back, friends. We are here at the game between the Vaudeville Vixens and the Unholy Rollers at Game 3 of Season 15 for Madison Roller Derby's home season.
One of the things that's happened in this second half, Rich, is the penalty counts have increased just a little bit.
They have
Each
indeed.
team had 9 penalties apiece in the first half, but we're now looking at 15 penalties for the Vaudeville Vixens and 18 for the Unholy Rollers. So the Unholy Rollers starting to pick up a few more penalties than their competitors.
So we've got Gertrude Awakening out as your lead jammer for the Unholy Rollers. Just picks up 4 points. Jocelyn Hell jamming for the Vixens in the pink. Just being held down on the turn 1-2 apex. Now a track cut penalty is going to be assessed against Unholy's jammer Gertrude Awakening. Attempting that apex jump, didn't quite land it cleanly. So this will send her to the Delta Beer Lab change cage, giving the Vaudeville Vixens an Ian's Pizza Power Jam.
That's right, it's an Ian's Pizza Power Jam.
So Jocelyn Hell up at the front of the pack, trying to work her way through on the outside. Nice drive to the outside by Bubba Luscious. Will force the manipulator to recycle back into the wall.
And still working her way through the front. Jocelyn Hell is still trying to get through the pack as the power jam ends.
Whoa.
And Gertrude Awakening comes through the pack with a lovely apex jump to pick up 4 points.
Oh, what a marvelous maneuver, and just like flew around with all the momentum in the world.
Some nice force out work by the manipulator up there in the shoulder of the turn, getting Jocelyn Hell out and holding her at the line and forcing her eventually out of bounds. Meanwhile, Gertrude Awakening is just zipping along on the inside line, picking up more points. And now picking up a back block.
Well, so that is unfortunate. Like, any time to pick up a jammer penalty is an unfortunate time, but that was a very unfortunate time for that penalty as the jam came to its natural 2-minute conclusion. So while she did pick up 16 points in that jam to the Vixens 4, this will start a 30-second power jam for the Vaudeville Vixens as we go into jam 12 of the second half. I'd like to do a quick shout out here for our sponsor here, Hinckley Design and Production, bringing you this very audio-video stream that you are watching / listening to. So thank you to our sponsor, Hinckley Productions, quality commercial video production and live streaming video. Bringing their A-game since 2008, Hinckley Productions blows the competition off the track.
They do indeed.
So we are here in the midst of an official timeout brought to you by the Comeback Inn and Bar and Restaurant. They're going to wrap that one up. We are ready to get back into the action. Let's see, we've got...
And the Vaudeville Vixens are starting with an Ian's Pizza Power Jam with Cat Scratch Fever as their jammer. Gertrude Awakening went to the penalty box, the Delta Beer Lab change cage at the end of that previous jam, and is now serving her penalty time.
Bonnie Riot picking up a penalty of her own will send her to the Delta Beer Lab change cage. Lead jam still up for grabs here. It's Cat Scratch Fever being driven all the way to the outside by One Hit Wanda.
That's a pretty staunch wall that the Unholies have in the front there, keeping Cat Scratch Fever from getting through. Meanwhile, Gertrude Awakening emerges from the penalty box, and because she began the... she was awarded lead jammer status, but is now being sent to the box on an additional back block. So I don't know if that is going to override lead jam status, but it certainly removes it because once you go to the penalty box, you lose that status.
It looks like it is not overridden as Cat Scratch Fever is now through the pack, but not your lead jammer. She is, however, eligible to score points. Nice job absorbing a hit there by Polly Avarice. That was number 428 with a harrowing hit, but she just, like, Cat Scratch Fever absorbed it so beautifully, came around. That Unholy's defense comes right around to get in front. And we have a star pass.
And Gertrude Awakening back on the track again and through the pass. Looks like that's a completed initial pass. Meanwhile, Bonnie Riot has taken up jammer duties for the Vaudeville Vixens, and the Vixens have 4 points. Jam ends with 4 more points for the Vixens. That brings us to 8 points for the Vixens this jam and only 2 for the Unholy Rollers. Our total score, Vaudeville Vixens 97, Unholy Rollers 278.
No, Reaver, I have some exciting news that we cannot keep Utter Wraps any longer. We are hosting the 2nd annual Utter Chaos Invitational Tournament here in Madison, Wisconsin.
It's happened before?
It's happened before. It happened last year. We are going to have 4 leagues bring their A and B teams. We're going to talk a little bit more about that after this jam, though, as we are back into the action. La March Madness jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens in pink up against Ginger Snap for the Unholies in the red. Ginger Snap is out as your lead jammer.
Meanwhile, La March Madness still working her way through the pack. She has removed her helmet cover, but has not passed it off to her pivot, and finally makes her way through the pack as Ginger Snap calls the jam after scoring some points before La March Madness can get around in scoring position. You said there are going to be four leagues bringing 2 teams. So that's 4 leagues, 8 teams.
And that's just at the minimum. We're going to have Madison Roller Derby completing, Naptown Roller Derby completing, Rocky Mountain Roller Derby, as well as Ann Arbor. So they will all be bringing their A and B teams, having a full weekend of roller derby action here in Madison, Wisconsin.
Well, is that going to be here at the Alliant Energy Center?
That is going to be at the Hartmeyer Ice Arena, April 5th through the 7th. And we can talk a little bit more about it after this action. Shantastic McAwesome wearing the star for the Vaudeville Vixens. Your lead jammer, Tango de Muerte for the Unholy Rollers.
And Tango calls the jam, giving us an opportunity to let you know that the Hartmeyer Ice Arena is on Madison's lovely east side. It is a wonderful venue. If you haven't been there to see roller derby yet, you are going to want to stop by and check it out. They don't do ice in the summer. They don't do year-round ice at Hartmeyer Ice Arena, and so we get to use it for some roller derby action in the summer. So come watch us.
Yep, you can find more information at our website at madisonrollerderby.org/utterchaos, or if you just go to the homepage and go under events and Utter Chaos, you can buy tickets there.
I'm in.
I am into the action here on the track as Shenanigans takes lead jam for the Unholy Rollers up against Jocelyn Hell for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Oh, nice hit from...
I think that might have been Wolframmer as
a nice hit
she went
from
to the
Wolframmer, but it was classified as a low block by our inside pack referee, Dark Matter. And so Wolframmer has gone to the Delta Beer Lab change cage. So she unfortunately made contact below the mid-thigh with parts of her body below the mid-thigh.
Illegal target zones. So Shenanigans here at the front of the pack, trying to fight her way through. It's going to be Diaphragm and Bubba Luscious trying to hold her back at the end of turn 4, but she does break through. 4 more points up for the Unholy Rollers.
And we have a star pass for the Vaudeville Vixens. Radio Smacktive now taking over that position from Jocelyn Hell. And still working to get her way through the pack. And a nice hit to the outside by One Hit Wanda there, taking Radio Smacktive down and out.
Shenanigans really racking up the points here, has picked up 20 points so far this jam. Will bring the Unholy Rollers score over 300.
And now she earns a back block penalty that will send her to the Delta Beer Lab change cage and give an Ian's Pizza Power Jam to the Vaudeville Vixens.
That's right, Radio Smacktive doing what she can to pick up some points here. That blocking pair of one-hit Wanda and the Manipulator doing great work there. We're going to take a quick moment here. We'll be right back for you, though, with with Madison Roller Derby here in Madison, Wisconsin.
And welcome back to the Vaudeville Vixens versus the Unholy Rollers with Madison Roller Derby. I am Goram Reaver.
And I am Rich Mahogany.
We are currently in an officials timeout.
Official review is actually
an official review even. Which means, may I?
Oh, please do.
An official review is when one of the teams would like the officials to consider something that happened on the track and either rescind a penalty or award a penalty that was not awarded, or make a change in scoring or something along those lines. It is a chance for the teams to say, hey, we think something unfair happened this way with the way something was officiated. Can you please discuss this amongst yourselves and decide whether or not it needs to be changed? And so right now the referees are discussing that, and if they need to speak with any of the NSOs, they will speak with the NSOs as well. And then once they have their decision, we will give you a summary of what has taken place.
And so, can teams just review anything, anytime, whenever they want, however many times they want?
They can review anything from the previous jam. So once the subsequent jam starts, anything that happened in the jam prior is no longer eligible for review. And you get one review per period. However, if your review is successful, you do retain that review and have an opportunity to use a second.
So it looks like we have we are near resolution here. We'll get a little bit more information for you on that momentarily.
So the back block call that was made on Shenanigans in the later portion of that jam has been rescinded. It was challenged by the Unholy Rollers, and after review, the referees agreed that that penalty should not have been called, and so Shenanigans has been released from the penalty box, and the Unholy Rollers will be... I'm sorry, that penalty was upheld, and so Shenanigans will remain in the penalty box, and La March Madness will have an Ian's Pizza Power Jam for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Right, great opportunity here for La March Madness and the Vaudeville Vixens. Coming into the pack hot with a nice hockey stop there, pulling out some of the momentum to be able to try to juke around these blockers. However, once again, the Unholy Rollers wall holds firm. Though up at the front to the beat, only one to beat. She does get by Micro Waller, so La March Madness is through for 4 points.
And La March Madness comes up for her scoring pass and is past the pack for another 4 points for the Vaudeville Vixens. And we've got some jammer action. Meanwhile, both jammers are at the pack. La March Madness on a scoring pass, as well as Shenanigans. We've got 4 points for the Unholy Rollers, and looks like one more point for the Vaudeville Vixens. That brings us to Vaudeville Vixens 110, 308 for the Unholy Rollers.
I'd like to shout it out to Madison Roller Derby sponsor Chocolate Shop Ice Cream. This is the best ice cream made in Wisconsin, and it tastes so good because it has gobs of rich Wisconsin cream, tons of real ingredients, and boatloads of luscious flavors. It means that it's not low fat, low calorie, or low anything, and that's why everyone loves it. If you want nutrition, eat carrots.
I like carrots.
They're good, but
there are times when I'm in it for the ice cream. Meanwhile, Gertrude Awakening has earned lead jammer status and scored 4 points for the Unholy Rollers. Cat Scratch Fever is jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Gertrude Awakening through on the outside, going to pick up 4 points on that pass. Cat Scratch Fever removing the star, looking to pass to her pivot. I believe that's number 238, Radio Smacktive.
But Gertrude Awakening is just zipping through that pack, racking up the points for the Unholies.
Not sure if Cat Scratch Fever still has the star or if it has been successfully passed over to Radio Smacktive. And of course, as I say that, we've got eyes on it. Dio does have the star, just has not yet donned it. Working her way to get through on the inside line there. But
I don't blame her. If I were going up against that Unholies wall, I'd probably want to focus all of my energy and efforts on getting past the wall. And then once I'm out of the engagement zone and nobody but the other jammer is allowed to touch me, then put it on.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, at a moment like that where you're hanging at the back and you have a spare moment to collect yourself.
Gertrude Awakening flying around the track, picks up 4 more points. That's going to bring her total to 20 for this jam thus far. And Radio Smacktive does finally break free of the pack, now eligible to score points.
But Gertrude Awakening has gone to the penalty box.
That's right,
on
back
another back block penalty.
That'll be her 4th back block penalty of this game, making it her 5th penalty total.
She is now our penalty leader in this game.
So that jam will come to its natural 2-minute conclusion. Vaudeville Vixens able to pick up 2 points to the Unholy Rollers 20, and this will be a power start for the Vixens. I'd like to give another shout out to another Madison Roller Derby sponsor, Maduro, located at 117 East Main Street. Maduro is a swanky bar which offers rotating lineups of cigars and beers, plus wines, cocktails, and weekend DJs. Thank you, Maduro, for sponsoring Madison Roller Derby.
And Jam 18 is underway. We've got just under 2 minutes left on the game clock. Vaudeville Vixens have 112 points. Shantastic Awesome has taken lead jammer status for them in this jam. And Gertrude Awakening is in the penalty box for the Unholy Rollers. She has actually just been released from the penalty box and just returning to the track to make her initial pass through the pack. Meanwhile, Shantastic McAwesome is trying to fight her way past the Unholy blockers at the front of the pack. And Bada Boombox has picked up a penalty for an out-of-play block, I believe.
I believe you are correct, Reaver. So Shantastic McAwesome enjoying an Ian's Pizza Power Jam, which is almost as delicious as the pizza for which it is named. 4 points for the Vixens as she comes around turn 2 and 3. Weaving through, does break through. Shantastic.
Nice footwork by Shantastic there on the far straightaway.
That's right, Shan picking up some nice momentum as she rounds the pack again here. However, Gertrude Awakening now through the pack. The jam will be called. Gonna see 10 points up for the Vaudeville Vixens, holding the Unholies down to 0. That'll only be the 3rd scoreless jam for the Unholy Rollers this half. So this is we are getting down into what will likely be the final jam of this game. Vaudeville Vixens going into it with 122, Unholy Rollers 328. So you can see the period clock winding down to just a few seconds, but since we have started the jam, we will be respecting the jam clock over the period clock. So as the period clock has now ended, as soon as this jam is called or comes to its natural 2-minute conclusion, that'll be the game, Reaver.
And Ginger Snap going to the penalty box for a forearm penalty off to the Delta Beer Lab change cage. The Vaudeville Vixens have a power jam, an Ian's Pizza power jam.
So it actually looks like Jocelyn Hell was in the penalty box when Ginger Snap went. So we had a little bit of a jammer do-si-do in the penalty box because we don't want a jammerless jam. That's no fun. We want somebody out there rolling around scoring points, but what that does mean is since both jammers have been to the penalty box in this jam, we will have no lead jammer. It goes the full 2 minutes.
And we have just over 1 minute of those 2 minutes left.
So Jocelyn Hell through for 4 points. Ginger Snap through behind her.
And Halo Sailor is on her way to the Delta Beer Lab change cage with a multiplayer block. And now Ginger Snap also heading into the Delta Beer Lab change cage for track cutting penalty. You have to stay in bounds when you are passing people. It's one of the rules.
Yeah, got to stay on the track.
And again, thank you for United Derby Officials 608 for helping enforce the safety and gameplay rules of all of our games here in Madison.
Of course, if you'd like to join UDO 608, they will train you up. All you got to do is email officials@madisonrollerderby.org. We would love to have you as a part of this amazing crew.
And that brings the game to a conclusion. Vaudeville Vixens, 134 points, very respectable. Unfortunately, not enough to overcome the Unholy Rollers at 340.
That's right, a very high energy, high action game. At no point did the Vixens give this one up. It has been an incredible fight every step of the way. But the story here, the Unholy's defense just so strong, able to lock down that Vixens
dominated
jammer,
that action,
and did such a good job of getting their jammer out. Where we have the official final, that is the indisputable final score. Vixens 134, Unholy Rollers taking the win with 340. So we saw that things got a little penalty heavy towards the end there. We did see 2 skaters on the Unholies getting up towards 5. Only had 1 with 4 for the Vixens. But
it was a total of 28 penalties for the Unholy Rollers, 22 for the Vixens. You'll remember we did have 9 apiece for each team going into the first half. And only 1 player at halftime with multiple penalties. So as you can see by the numbers on the screen there and the penalty codes, things changed quite a bit in the second half.
Well, so that'll just about do it for our time here. Remember, folks, we've got the Utter Chaos Invitational happening here in Madison, Wisconsin, April 5th through the 7th. Check out MadisonRollerDerby.org for more information about that. And our next home game will be here in the at the Alliant Energy Center Expo Halls on April 27th. Well, thank you all for joining us here for Madison Roller Derby. I'm Rich Mahogany.
And I'm the Goram Reaver.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
A wonderful day.